I invite us to begin settling down, and I am of hope that we have enjoyed our lunch. I have been guided that we shall revert to the debate that we just had immediately before lunch. It was a matter of interest that we entertain a brief question and answer session regarding that debate so that we give chance to participants to interact with the debate. So this is the KIPPRA Mentorship Program for Universities, KABARAK chapter, and we have quite a number of participants attending physically, while we have other participants following the proceedings of this event on our various virtual platforms. So we are present and broadcasting live on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Zoom. We also have a number of social media handles for KABARAK University. You can follow KABARAK at KABARAK Uni on Twitter. On Facebook and YouTube, the handle is KABARAK University. For KIPPRA, you can follow them on Twitter at KIPPRA Kenya, and on Facebook and YouTube, the handle is KIPPRA Kenya. The hashtags that we are using for this event is at KMPUS and hashtag at KABARAK Research, at KABARAK University Research. So I invite us to share the online links so that we can get people in our networks to follow whatever is going on in this place. At this point in time, I would now like to invite Mr. Ken Kiptanui. Mr. Ken Kiptanui is moderating the debate so that he can come and finish up with a Q&A session. Join me in welcoming Ken Kiptanui to proceed with our session.
Thank you very much. I hope you're now feeling much better. Everybody, after a meal, welcome back. I would like to take this opportunity to ask my good friends who are on stage. Oh my, someone moved their seats, but do you think you can respond from exactly where you are? Okay? The seats are there? Please, let them come in front. We need to see them. Yeah, please. As they come, we want to appreciate that it's very important to listen to this, and it is that reason that we want to go back to that Q&A session so that we have a chance to interrogate their thinking, to ask them a few questions, and sorry, MC.
Thank you. Can allow me to interfere with the flow of the program a bit. I would like to introduce, or rather recognize, the presence of Ms. Linda Onyango. Ms. Linda Onyango is the Chief Executive Officer of SME Support Center Limited. I invite Linda to wave to the crowd. Thank you. Ken, you may proceed.
Thank you. Karibu. So as I was saying, we must take this chance to provide that much needed interrogation and part of the mentorship that they require by asking them and talking to them about exactly what they were talking about. So it's at this moment that I want to open this to the floor. I know there were questions. I know there were a few probably directed questions to either the proposing side or the opposing side. So just by a show of hands, any one or two questions. First, do we remember what they just presented before lunch? I hope we all do. Okay, any hands for the questions to the team? I have 1, 2, 3. Okay, let me do it this way. Let's try to target the questions between the two teams. So I want the ones who ask questions to the proposing team. Is that better? Yes, 1. Okay, we have a roaming mic. We can start by taking that question to the to the proposing side. So you can introduce yourself and direct your question to the team at the front. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Calvin Odari from Egerton University, Department of Agricultural Economics. So my question goes to both the opposing and proposing team, because I think the Big Four agenda, as of now, it needs a total overhaul. And we can ask such questions as, how do we measure developments in this time? In Swahili, I can ask, maendeleo ni nini? Because most of the guys were referring to maendeleo or development as how many roads have been built, how many hospitals have been built. But to me, I feel like development or maendeleo should impact the individual person. In terms of food security, when we talk of mega irrigation schemes, the Galana Kulalu, Nzoia irrigation scheme, I think we are deviating from the topic, because food security, to me, is an income problem. We can produce a lot of food as a country, but there are some people who can't afford it. That's why you hear cases of in Nyandarua County, milk is being poured, cabbages is being fed to cows, but in Turkana County, Mandera, on the ASAL areas, people are dying of hunger. So I ask the question, what lessons did we learn from the pandemic, and who are greatly affected from the COVID period? So from there, we can use the indicators of development. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Calvin, for your question. I will take about 3 or 4 questions from the floor. Then I will allow the youngsters to respond. Okay, there was another question from... Yes, thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Grace from Egerton University, Department of Natural Resources. My question is on manufacturing. The person who proposed on manufacturing said that we've increased fish production from 2,500 tons to 18,000 tons, to a point where we are exporting fish. Then my question comes in. We've had issues of Kenya importing fish into the country. Isn't it contradicting that we export, then we import from another country? Why don't we consume what we have? So what's the need of exporting while we still need to import the same commodity? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Grace. There's another question here. There are 2 more on this side. So I'll take those 2, then we can allow the team to respond.
Okay, my name is Douglas Asigo from KABARAK, Law School 1.2. My question is just, I just want to ask the one who talked about land. When you talk about land in this country, something which is too critical. And you are saying that the land, we have some people in this country, they own a lot of land, so it will be taken back to the common mwananchi. I think when you are talking about the issue of land, I don't know the procedures that are being placed into position such that you can get the land. Then also after the outbreak of the COVID-19, it was a big blow to the 4 agenda. So you find that people lost their jobs, and also the money that was allocated for the COVID-19, we have the corona billionaires. So in this country, I think we are one of the funny countries in the world. So what are we going to do on that? Because we have corona billionaires and some people are poor. We have the policy, we want to make it, we want to improve on it. And also the issue of time. It was launched in 2008, so which means we have 22 years. In these 22 years, we shall have 4 governments. Already we had the one for 2013, 2017, we have 2022, and as you know, this 2022, the 8th month, that's almost 3/4 of this year, we are in an election mood. Nothing is going on in this country, and we are moving ahead of the 2030. So just give a clear indication on what is going to be done. And also, this policy, if you ask many people here, or the most people here, if you ask them, what is the Vision 2030? What does it entail in that Vision 2030? Most of the people doesn't know anything on that vision. So I'm going to visualize it such that at least the remaining 8 years, and of which we are just with the 4 years maybe. So the 8 years, how are you going to actualize that? The Vision 2030, it is just a dream, but it's just something that can be kept somewhere and be placed to the citizens such that it works. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Douglas. There's a gentleman at the front with the final question for this round.
I'm Lawrence from KABARAK School of Law, and my question is to the proposers. So in the quest to actualizing the Big Four agenda by 2030, what are the policies taken to ensure it is aligned with the principle of sustainable development? And if so, there are measures. Are they really effective to the realization of this Big Four agenda by 2030? That's my question.
Thank you very much, Lawrence. I had one face that really wanted to ask the question, so I'll take that one, and then the proposing team can prepare to respond. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Anastasia Cherotich from Kabarak University Law School. My question is to the person that discussed about housing. So if the government is really focused on housing and ensuring that everyone has a place that they can live, why is it that they have focused mainly on displacing people, as we've seen the Mao forest evictions and many other cases of people that live in IDP camps that have been displaced from wherever they're living for whatever reasons. We see that those people live in camps and they do not have the best standards of living, health, and food, and maybe sanitation, water. They suffer from so many things. For example, the camp that's here in Baringo, Kakuma camp, whereby there are lots of sexual offenses, and the ladies that live in those places have suffered a lot of rape and assault. So my question to you guys is that if the government is really focused on how it's done anything to ensure that those people have been moved from those camps and maybe bettering their living conditions in those places. That's the end of my question.
Thank you very much, Anastasia. Now, the presenting team, your questions, I hope you've been listening. Kindly get someone to quickly respond before I can take more questions. Thank you. You can even take it in turns. One can handle one question. Yes. Thank you, Fred.
Okay. I want to respond to the question that the guy asked that the increase under irrigation schemes is not necessarily in food and security nutrition. Was that the question? Okay, I want to answer that question by saying that the agenda of food and security aims on the goal of the SDG and zero hunger, I mean to end the hunger, of which also it should sustain the agriculture. So under this, we see that during the COVID-19, most so there was scarcity, maybe there was hunger due to the effects of the COVID-19. So by putting in place the irrigation schemes, most of the places that were affected by the drought, maybe for example in Kitui, places like that, this shows that this agenda plays a bigger role in the ending of the hunger that we are experiencing. So I support this point about the increase of acreage under irrigation scheme to be part of the food security and nutrition. Thank you.
Thank you, Frederick. There were about 3 other questions. Karibu, Adeline.
Okay. Good afternoon once again. I will echo what I said previously when I was presenting. I want to say that the realization of the Big Four agenda is not only the government's initiatives. Us as Kenyans, as the citizens of Kenya, we are also involved in actualizing this Big Four agenda. So let us not negate, let us not burden the government when we talk about how this when, for example, Douglas, there's a point that he has raised that so many people, for example, they do not know, they're ignorant of the Vision 2030. So we see that the government has taken its initiative to inform people of the 2030 vision. So the government has done its part. So as individuals, there's internet all over the school, for example. So there's no excuse for a student, for example, or a member of staff of Kabarak University not to be aware of the 2030 vision. You see, so it is a personal effort that people should make in order to be able to know more about their country. So we have the issue of the displacement of people in Mau, and you have the IDPs. So these people in Mau, for example, and you're asking if the government is setting up this housing, why are they displacing people, or people living in people are not living in decent facilities. The government itself has the people, for example, living in Mau were illegally living there. They weren't supposed to be there. And we see that the encroachment in the Mau forest also affecting the forest is affecting the climate is affecting the food production of this country. So in a way, as citizens, we don't expect the government to deliver, yet us as ourselves, we are busy, we are the ones hindering the process to deliver this thing. So when we have under the housing, we have what the government is doing, is that the government is establishing this 500,000 units. The government, under Nairobi, 37,000 units have already been established and are continuing to be built. It's only that COVID-19 came that the process was halted. Otherwise, it is to resume with immediate effect. We see that these housings, they are being constructed so that even those people who, for example, maybe can't afford, are being catered for. They're not building houses whose rent will be very expensive. They're building the houses in 3 categories, such that even the people of the lower class are able to afford these houses. So we cannot say that the government is not doing its best to provide this housing. It is taking the initiatives. It is taking the initiative to build these houses. We also have the thing of Kenya importing fish from China. It has been raised. We are talking about the fisheries. We are increasing our imports, but why are we still seeing the imports from fish from outside. So the thing is, as a people, just as it has been discussed, as a people, there is the Buy Kenya, Build Kenya. We are the ones to promote our local industries. People are buying from outside. In as much as the government is taxing highly on the imported goods, there are still people who are bringing in this fish from outside. So I think it is, personal initiative, also us as Kenyans. This fishing that is being, from our lakes, it is us to buy them. And even as the government is exporting them, know that also exportation is a way of earning revenue for the government. So it is also important that we export this fish to other countries so that we can also build our economy. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for the proposing team. I think they took quite a good advantage to cover pretty much all the questions that were raised on the floor. And I want to quickly take this chance to ask now anyone who has a question to the opposing team. They've been sitting quietly, and I'm sure you have questions, especially regarding some of the points they brought up towards why they still don't believe we can achieve this within the remaining 8 years. Any questions from the floor? Did I see a hand? Not sure. Yes, there's one. And two. Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Dore Reng. Okay, my question is more of a concern. And it's not about, I'm not asking the opposing, is that I never got the chance to ask, but I want to ask. Okay, and I'm directing on the issue of enhancing manufacturing as the third agenda, for agenda, that someone mentioned about Lake Victoria, but my issue is we must consider also the marginalized communities like Lake Turkana. I am from Lake Turkana, and in my area, there is an utilized factory because the area doesn't have electricity, and also they do not have funds to facilitate the activities. So when we are talking about, because I know that this 4 agenda was launched in 2017, and it was supposed to end when the president leaves the office. I don't know why you're talking about Vision 2030. Maybe you will make me understand it, but it was supposed to end when the president leaves the office. So my concern is, or my issue is, we must also consider those places, because the area that does not have electricity, it cannot facilitate those activities. Because as the matter of fact is that Lake Turkana is rich in terms of fish, and it helps in local economy and as well as the country's economy. So we must consider those areas, and I believe it is very possible these 4 agendas can be fulfilled, but we must consider marginalized areas. That is my point.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, we will capture that for response, but there was a question on this end. Any other? Just before, yes, there's 1, 2, 3 on this side, 4. Am I seeing everyone? Yes. Now I can see several more hands, 5. Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm Onyango Joseph Uguta from Laikipia University. Yes, my fellow colleagues are saying that it is impossible that we cannot achieve the Vision 2030s within the speculated time. My question is one. I think most of us here at one particular point, we were weak at a point. But there's a saying which says that a minute is, 1 minute can change somebody's life. So I'm also sure that as a Kenya and as a community development expert, I think the resources we have as per now, we can, if we take properly the system. I think we can achieve that. Secondly, so for example, you personally, if the individual, like me personally, I've come up with a project which I'm almost challenging Kenya Powers. Shortage in this country, and that one can assist in development. You
lack of adequate to explain that government have done much in order to achieve the realization of the Big Four agenda. So my approach was that, like, you are supposed to be open-minded. Like, the government, let's say, for example, the government of Machakos, you see the governor is working, and you see the hospitals. Have you seen the hospitals and the facilities? So I think the problem here is with the Kenyans. During election, I think it goes back to the root of election, and as the leaders that are in parliament. You see last week, was it last week, the leaders who you elect, you Kenyans, you are the ones who are responsible for this realization of Big Four agenda. Like, imagine, like, for example, the county assembly of appreciate the initiative that the government had done during the COVID period pandemic. We have to appreciate the fact that the government had given tax incentives, tax holidays, and the exemption of items such as medical facilities, and also tax holidays from manufacturing industries. We have to appreciate the fact that the government is doing its side, but the problem is with the leaders you elect. So all of these issues on Big Four agenda, they are realizable if the kind of governance that you are putting, you as Kenyans, you as the electorates, the kind of leadership that you are trying to inculcate on each and every person. So you are supposed to, like, to be foreseeable on the fact that we are supposed to do our part as Kenyans, but the kind of leadership structure that is in the county government. Like, for example, the county government of Kisumu. Like, one of you has said that the fishing industry has been provided with a lot of facilities. But in real sense, when you go to Lake Victoria, there's a lot of problem there, like the kind of fishing methods that they use, like the traditional ones, they use chemicals, like the ones that kills fish. Like, I think you're supposed to be more you're supposed to be more wide when dealing with these issues. You're not supposed to give the general assumption.
Brian,
thank you so much.
Oh, that was it. Okay, I came in just in time. Thank you very much. Give a round of applause to Brian. He said we have to take an AP something approach. There was two other questions on this side, please. There's a lady right in front of me. This side. Thank you. There were. I remember the three hands I saw here. I want to take those questions, then we can allow the team to respond. Go ahead. Thank you.
My name is Rachel Kipkoech, KABARAK Law School, and I think my question is the theme of my two questions, or I can make it a comment, is in line of finding a balance. And the proposing team talked about taxes, and I felt like the information they gave was not quite correct, because when you look at taxation in Kenya, and especially taxation on imports and exports, you have to think about it in light of WTO, that is the World Trade Organization, and the East Africa Community. And in light of those two, we find the principles that are there under, which is the most favored principle and the national principle. And when you talk about the most favored principle, you then have to impose tax that you impose on the most favored country to all other countries. And therefore, I don't think it's quite correct to say that Kenya can easily put or impose high taxes on imported goods in light of those rules. And therefore, how can we find a balance as a country? My second question is something I'm passionate about, and that is decolonizing, be it our mind, our institution, our policies, and all those stuff. And I'm currently in my final year in law school, and I'm writing a concept paper on the same. It's called Decolonizing Jurisprudence, the Madness in Our Methods. And in it, I try to see the balance and how can we put, how can we balance as a country? I think it was the proposing side or the opposing side mentioned, we lacking engineering. But isn't the problem we hiring engineers outside our country, as one of us said, manufacturing or buying cheaper products from other countries? Mostly we have China products, including China fish, and which you should not are cheaper than the fish we get from Lake Victoria. And therefore,
Rachel,
we're talking
Rachel,
about, I'm done.
Okay.
Yeah, how do we then balance, the decolonizing concept and, policy making?
Okay. Now, sadly, I will only take one question from this section, the one here. Just come down quickly and kindly let's make that question very straightforward so that I can allow these guys to respond in another 2 minutes, because I want to end this in the next 4 minutes.
Good afternoon. My name is Nderi Tundongo from Public Health, KABARAK University. Now, I got 2 questions and 1 comment. So one of the comments is, in as much as we can say that the government of Kenya is trying to achieve the Big Four agenda, we cannot bury our head in the sand and assume everything is going all right. But the ball lies on the Kenyan side. Let me ask, if you go, there was a case that you were given, you go to the supermarket, you find something that is made in Kenya and there's another one in China.
As a Kenyan, you'll choose the China product. One thing, you are failing the government in achieving the manufacturing sector, in production and achieving the Big Four agenda. And the second question comes in, let's say, in agriculture and engineering. In engineering in Kenya, most of the engineering works, especially in roads, the railway line, are done by the Chinese. But we can say, yes, there's the influx of the expatriates in Kenya, but let me ask this. Can Kenya sustain the engineers to construct to make those roads? Can Kenya sustain the manufacturing industry? If we say we are not importing, can we sustain it? So we cannot blame everything on the government. I believe some lies on our side. Thank you. Thank you very much, Nderitu. I will stop there on the questions just to get one feedback from the opposing team. Okay, as they prepare, Terry.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to tackle some of the questions that were asked. I'm going to start with the Turkana project, the oil and mining. So there's a project in Turkana of oil and mining that the government set up recently. The project is a one comprising of a project called Amaji Turkana Limited. This project aims at providing low cost of energy and a reliable cost of energy. So I'll tell you, Rome was not built in a day, and the government needs time. It's a matter of progressive realization. We need to get adequate funds in order to get this to get this agenda realized. So the government is putting up steps like the one I've just mentioned. There's a wind power in Lake Turkana in Loyangani district, which the government is putting up to ensure that there's a low cost of energy. Apart from that, we've seen that there's a low cost of energy in that the government is changing from the normal hydroelectric power to geothermal power, which is more cheaper. So therefore increasing the manufacturing sector. I'll answer the question of international investors too. You talked of the Chinese. I'll tell you that that is just a matter of contract. It's like a bilateral contract. By that sense, I mean that I will not call them the Chinese, I will call them international investors. They came into Kenya to build the railway lines, and we don't have the material for the railway lines. So it's like a contract. When they come in, they have to come with the engineers. So it's like a balance of probability with the Kenyan government, so that if they come in, they also have a part of the work they do here. The next question I'll tackle is the decolonization. I think it's more of a matter of self-responsibility. Let us all stop blaming the government. The Nunua Kenya, Jenga Kenya, Buy Kenya, Build Kenya is an initiative by the government. But why do we go to shops then purchase things from China? It's a matter of it starts from our own self, and it starts from changing our governance. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you very much. Now let's hear from, that's Kevin, right? Okay. 2 minutes, yeah?
1 minute can save a man. I want to respond to my colleagues. I want to respond to my colleague from Laikipia University who was talking about that the current resources are able to sustain our nation towards achieving the manufacturing agenda and indeed the Big Four agendas. From what I've stated earlier, okay, the country was indeed working effectively towards the realization of the manufacturing agenda and indeed the Big Four agenda until the inception of COVID-19. Therefore, COVID-19 has really delayed the effectiveness of the nation achieving the Big Four agendas. Also, the issue on importation of engineering and maybe labor force at all. I want to give you some simple statistics that from the Kenya Engineers Registration Board, we have
1,323 engineers, and an approximation of 5,000 graduates on engineering. And these are 6,323 engineers who are supposed to sustain over 40 million people, which is not feasible. And with the current education system, for the engineers to be adopted in the industry, it might take long, and therefore the current resources might not help Kenya achieve the Big Four agenda. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kevin. I want to take this opportunity to bring it back to MC. First of all, to really thank this team that has done a very good job to literally break this down to us. And I want us to give them a big round of applause as they leave the stage, and want you all to be very grateful because they have learned something, and you've seen that this discussion has opened up a new perspective in how we look at things. So thank you very much. Back to you, MC.
Thank you, Ken, for leading out that session very well and ably. And thank you, team. Thank you, students, for the debating skills. We are very proud of you. This conversation does not end here, ladies and gentlemen. We believe that we can continue interacting on our social media to invite the SMPA team just for one piece of entertainment. Then after them, we shall go straight to the next presentation by Ms. Eda Mwangola. But Ms. Eda will come after this presentation. So SMPA, kindly, if you can come forward because of time so that we proceed. Other than being here physically, we are also present on social media platforms. We are live on Zoom, YouTube, and Facebook. Yes, come over on stage, please. So that is the School of Music and Performing Arts Choir, and they will be giving us one piece so that we feel entertained. This team trains under the supervision of Mr. Fred Wekesa. Mr. Fred Wekesa is a lecturer at the School of Music and Performing Arts, and he is easily recognizable. Mr. Fred, we're happy for this. Please proceed.
Good afternoon. Before you is part of the School of Music and Performing Arts, and we're going to sing South African traditional hymn named Indodana, which means the sun. In this song, the chorus talks about how the Son of God, Jesus Christ, was crucified. And as you all know, Easter is around the corner. So I pray that as we sing this song, that we may reflect on and meditate on sacrifice that God made for us all, that God gave for us all, and that is Jesus Christ, who was sent, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life. Be blessed.
some chairperson to some of them. Join me in welcoming Ada Mongola, in making her presentation. Ada.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and all protocols observed. I'm making this presentation on behalf of the Kenya Vision 2030 Delivery Secretariat, and we're very proud to partner with KIPPRA. Thank you very much, Dr. Rose Ngugi, for partnering on this in these events, because it gives us mileage to talk about Vision 2030. I'd like to introduce my colleague who's with me, Madam Flora Mwala. Maybe you could wave to everybody. Madam Flora works in the DG's office. She's the senior office administrator, so all matters on Vision 2030 go through her before you reach our Director General. So make contacts with her if you want to advance an agenda. I will make this presentation, and I've been told my time is really short, so I will not, I'll be very quick. I thought after listening in half of this morning, the later morning, I'm so impressed at the knowledge that you students have. Honestly, you are doing very well, extremely well. And I'm so proud of you, and I'll take that feedback to the Secretariat. We need to partner more. We need positive minds out there talking about our country's vision. I thought I would just introduce the Vision Delivery Secretariat, what we do. In summary, our work is to spearhead initiatives that contribute towards achievement of the vision. And I'll come to discuss the vision a bit later. So we provide strategic leadership. We ensure that the projects that have been targeted to achieve the vision, what we call the flagship projects, are on track, they are on time. So our work entails monitoring and evaluation from time to time. We do coordination of the implementing agencies to measure where we are against the targets of the vision. And we also undertake rapid action where we think there is slow progress amongst the projects, and bring it to the attention of higher levels in government. But a very key function is to aggressively market our vision, and we allocate a lot of resources towards this. So events like this, we really appreciate them because they give us that platform. And we hope that by talking to stakeholders like yourselves, that you're going to rally the vision and become champions of the vision. I'm not sure whether this is the slides I sent last. Huh? I may be a bit lost because I sent a revised presentation later on. I hope it's the correct one. I feel I have lost a slide somewhere. But let me go straight away as they sort that out to introduce the Vision 2030, what it is. And I won't take much time on this because clearly the audience here knows it. It was launched in 2008 as the long-term development blueprint. Maybe somebody can tell me your understanding of a blueprint. Anybody wants to take that? What's a development blueprint? Yes? Let's make it interactive.
From my understanding of a blueprint, we can take the idea of a house. The blueprint is to set the roadmap on what is to be followed to achieve the end goal.
Yeah, it's basically a plan that has been agreed upon and gone through the procedures and adapted as the plan to achieve certain goals. You can do it also at a personal level, but this is a countrywide plan that all Kenyans have agreed to reach a better quality of life. It aims to create a globally competitive and prosperous country with a high quality of life for all by the year 2030. I had one of the students say that no, Vision 2030 was supposed to end when the president leaves. But we have the Vision 2030 up to the year 2030. There may be a new vision coming up after that. Clearly, a vision is a better, it was seen a better way of planning because previously we were planning against every 5 years. And I think there'll be a session to discuss the planning framework. So that is, in summary, what the vision aims to achieve. And it is anchored on 3 pillars: the economic pillar, the social pillar, and the political pillar. If you go through that, what it says is that the economic pillar aims to maintain a 10% growth for the next 20 years. At that time, when it was launched in 2008, the social pillar aims to create a just and cohesive society, enjoying equitable social development, a clean and secure environment. And finally, the political pillar is about issue-based, people-centered, results-oriented, and accountable democratic political system. Those are the aims as per the pillar that was seen will contribute to that overarching goal. But this is also based on the foundations. The foundations is what must be there for us to achieve the aims in the 3 pillars. And this is cross-cutting infrastructural development, science, technology, and innovation, public sector reforms, and macro stability. But very important that was added during the second medium-term plan is the national values system. We realize that if we don't build the soft part of our people, then we do not achieve anything towards a high quality of life. And there are certain behavioral attitudes or attributes that go with growth and with a high middle income country. So there are certain behavioral, certain attitudes that we must change for us to achieve our goal. And it's broken down into strategies and plans for implementation. So I will go also briefly on how the vision is implemented. Currently, Kenya is at the lower middle income country with a gross national income per capita of $1,760. And we've moved. This was realized, I think, around 2014, when we moved from a low-income country to now a lower middle-income country status. And with that came with other conditionalities internationally. But we are definitely at a better place, and definitely due to the push we had because of the projects we put in place for Vision 2030. The process towards achieving the while private sector is the engine for economic growth. So you will find that in the economic sector, and I found quite a lot of discussion being held around the projects under the economic pillar are really the engine of growth. And these were to be realized by contribution of the private sector. It includes all the sectors of the economy and it covers the whole country. Again, I had another student talk about Turkana. There are some flagship projects, and if you go through the blueprint, that were targeted in Turkana and are doing well. Some maybe not so well, but there are flagship projects that cover every county if you want to identify. And there are those that are national, for example, education programs. That would be national and would cover every county. But there are those that are location specific or county specific. And those would require the participation of the county governments and other stakeholders. It is an ambitious plan. Actually, 70% of the financing was to be realized through the private sector. And it provides an institutional framework for implementing, monitoring, and evaluation of the vision, and therefore the Vision Delivery Secretariat, and the mother ministry is the State Department for Planning. There's a goal, there's strategic objectives, there's activity, there's output. So it has a framework, it has a structure that describes how we will arrive there. And it is implemented in 5-year medium-term plans. We had the first medium-term plan